Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, January 19th, 2026. Happy MLK Day to everybody. I'm sure a lot of you are off work. I know I've got people in my house that normally would be at school right now, so they're off work or off school. But I am Dave Biddle. I am joined by Dan Rubin. We got a fun show for you guys. We're going to go through our projected two deep for the Buckeyes heading into 2026. Could they be done adding to the portal? Probably not. They're probably going to still add, I would guess. But we have a pretty good idea now what the roster is going to look like finally after the crazy 2 weeks that we experienced. We'll briefly touch on the OC situation. Might the Buckeyes have an OC some point this week? And we'll take a quick gander at the game tonight, the national championship game, Indiana against Miami. All right, Dan, good to see you as always on a Monday. I'll start at quarterback with the two deep. Julian Sand and Tavian St. Clair's who I have jotted down. Pretty crazy, I know.
The Sand kid's got a chance. Yeah. If you have a quarterback who goes to the Heisman ceremony and challenges age-old records in his first season, I think there's a good chance he's coming back to be the man. The question is, right now, if you want to get tangential, what odds will there be on the Heisman for Julian?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's out yet. I haven't looked at it. But,
I mean, in terms of who you think he'll be in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, it's like everybody will have Arch Manning preseason, and then after about 5 weeks, people are like, no. Arch actually played a lot better toward the end of the year.
He really did.
There was nowhere to go but up, though.
Fair.
There's nowhere to go but up. We didn't even need to talk about C.J. Stroud yesterday. Jeez. My God. Now, his offensive line was doing him absolutely no favors. That reminded me of Burrow's first couple of years where it was just like, you have like 1 second to throw the ball, man. There's going to be somebody in your face.
Not to mention, Dave, to interrupt you, he lost his two best receivers, Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz. And Houston is not deep on offense. They're a defensive team, and I felt terrible for him. I mean, it was like a whirlpool. You know what I mean? It was like, here we go again. And I think everyone's rooted for a team where when the quarterback drops back, you're like, oh, just run it.
Yeah, we do have somebody asking. I touched on this briefly on the site last week. Benjamin on Facebook, is there any truth that players that enter the portal can't come back? No, they can come back unless something's changed. I mean, it's hard for me to keep up on the rules. First 17 years I was on the beat. I was right. Like college football was basically the same, like for my first 17 years on the beat. And it's just been chaos like the last 6 or 7 years. So unless things have changed, 2 years ago, Bryson Rogers entered his name in the portal, came back. He's obviously gone. Now he's going to South Florida with Heartline as we expected. He's from Tampa. So yeah, he entered his name in the portal, came back. Last year, Sam Williams-Dixon, now Sam Dixon, entered his name in the portal, came back. So yeah, you can come back.
There's lots of guys who have done that, Dave. If you go look at the 24/7 Sports live transfer portal feed, you see a guy go into the portal and then it's like transfer to, and there's just one logo there, left and came. So yes, you can do that.
Yes. All right, let's move
along. By the way, time out. What if they said you couldn't? You threatened to sue and they would let you.
That's the thing. And here's the thing. Xavier Lucas, who will miss the first half tonight for Miami because he got called for targeting in the second half of their previous game. He's set the I've talked about it a lot on the show. Let's say somebody feels like they're stuck after spring ball or even before spring ball. Like, oh, I can't transfer now because there's no transfer portal window. No, yeah, you can. Just ask Xavier Lucas. Just go enroll at the school. Nothing's going to happen. You're going to be eligible right away. So we probably still will see more of that. All right, running back. The law firm of Jackson & Jackson. I have Bo Jackson as RB1. I have Jacoby Jackson, RB2, but Isaiah West right there as well. I kind of have West and Jackson as kind of RB2, 3 kind of split. I think Turbo Rogers is going to be in the mix, but maybe not a true tailback. That's what I got.
Here's what I wrote down. I wrote down running back. Bo, I think West will get the first shot. Also, I get the sense at 5'10", 214, Jackson's going to be hopefully a little bit more of a short yardage specialist who actually understands where his pads are located. So that might be a little bit of a role for him. What I wrote down is an extra position called flanker. This doesn't exist, but it did when I was growing up. That's kind of like your running back, slot back, the ideal flanker that we've had in recent times would, I think, would be Paris Campbell. Tons of receptions, but half of them were that little flick forward to him, which everyone thought was a handoff for 25 years. And I think you've got, Bay, Legend Bay possibly, and Turbo Rogers. The reason I'm interested in that is because if you look at the team this year, I think they could exploit the middle of the field a little bit better with some speed. They were decent running the ball, decent deep, and they could throw their receivers in the mid-range. But we need more of a threat, a guy who goes in motion and kind of brings people with you, because you're like the old Reggie Bush days when the guy would kind of scare you a little bit. I think they need a few more playmakers, and I think that's the way to get him in the game. Bay and Turbo, like you said, kind of that flanker slot kind of third guy role.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then like wide receiver, it's pretty straightforward as far as I'm concerned. And this is a big reason why Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham transferred. I mean, whatever you think about, I've heard people say, well, Brandon Ennis shouldn't be guaranteed a starting spot. It's fine if you feel that way. He's going to be a starter. He was a captain this year and a starter. He's going to be a senior, 2-time captain next year. He's going to be a starter. We know J.J. Smith is going to be a starter, the number one, the best wide receiver in college football, probably the best player in college football. And then I have Chris Henry Jr. as the other starter. And then the backups, I have Phillip Bell, and then I have the two guys they got in the Porter. They actually not the Mark Porter, the Portal. They like Phillip Bell. Phillip Bell I have slotted as one of the backups, and then I have the two kids they got in the portal, Kyle Parker and Devin McQueen.
It's McEwen and Little McEwen.
McEwen, yes, McEwen.
I'll go on a limb here.
Not like Steve McQueen.
This has been said. In fact, it was said in the boarding house, which kind of bummed me out because I was going to make my prediction on this. I'll bet you McEwen finishes second on the team in receptions. He's very good.
I'll bet you that.
Go watch some highlights of UTSA, and you're going to think they're playing arena football. That team gets after it offensively. I mean, I was watching McEwen. They had two other receivers I liked. Their tight end hit the portal. They got a running back who's going to get drafted. That team is aggressive offensively. I think there's some roots there offensively with guys who've gotten hired elsewhere. I really like McEwen. Kyle Parker, to me, is kind of like your KJ Hill, if you remember KJ Hill. May not be the most explosive, but super tough. Works the inside of the field. If you watch their bowl game, he was a main guy. He was a real player for LSU. So I think both those guys are going to play a ton. My guess is they sub a little bit more this year. Heartline is, and who are we to complain? They like to play their dudes and kind of just roll them out there. When you have Carnell Tate and, JJ on the edge, what are you going to do? They're talking about the two best receivers in football on one team. It's a little gluttonous. I don't think that will be the case this coming year. So while JJ and Julian Sand are attached at the hip, and Lord knows what the over-under is on touchdowns and receptions for JJ this coming year. Good Lord. It's a legendary record-breaking status, I would assume, especially given the fact that he's so clearly the number one coming up. But I'm actually really optimistic about the receivers. Really optimistic. And I put McEwen and Henry as like a 3.5. And Ennis, like you said, maybe the targets are coming, but I still see him as more of a slot kind of, pick up the sticks kind of guy.
Tight end, they're going to play a bunch of guys again. I've seen Mason Williams play a lot, the kid they got from Ohio University. I like him. I have him slotted in as my starter, but Nate Roberts is going to play a lot. Bennett Christian's going to play. The kid from Northwestern that they got is going to play. So they've got a lot of options there, but I have Mason Williams penciled in. I don't have him in Sharpie, Dan. I have him in pencil. Mason Williams is my starter. I
think you can insert Mason Williams and Hunter Stencil right into the Will Kazmarek, Max Clare roles. Of all the players, that's not true, on offense, of all the players that I went and watched, the player that surprised me the most was Stencil. He's very good. Don't be surprised if we're sitting here a year from now and people say they like Stencil more than they liked Max Clare. Okay, I know that sounds hyperbolic at this point. Go watch some highlights. Now, Northwestern is a challenge because they play over under 14 tight ends. I've never seen anything like it. The tight end offense, and they got some big honkies on the edge too, which confuse you. But Stencil was there if you look at the end of games when they were chasing or trailing and they had to go downfield, he's the one they went to routinely. Very high on Stencil. I know Cooper Patagna of the 24/7 Sports rankings, his ranking is very high. So I'm big on Welsing. I literally sub in Williams for Kazmarek, and then Nate Roberts obviously coming up there. I think you do not miss a beat at tight end.
All right, offensive line. Are you of the opinion that Austin Sareveld? We know Austin Sareveld could start anywhere and play well, right? Do you think they're going to move Austin Sareveld either to right tackle or right guard and put Ian Moore in at left tackle?
I went with the ideal, what I would think would be my hope is the best. This offensive line, obviously I think it's going to be something that gets discussed ad nauseum between now and kickoff, given the fact I think a lot of people look to that as the biggest reason for their not getting where they wanted to go. I have it right now as moving Sareveld to right guard. Could he play left tackle and be a good pro? Sure. Could he play right guard and be a very high draft pick for a guard and be like a big-time NFL player? I think so. So I would start it out that way. I also like the idea of having Sareveld next to Daniels. Your best
I have Daniels at right guard. I'm moving Daniels inside to right guard. He's just that junkyard dog. He just seems like Sareveld is kind of, I don't know. I have Sareveld at right tackle and I have Daniels at right guard. I have Ian Moore at left tackle. Now, obviously, Luke Montgomery and Hinsman. Luke Montgomery left guard, Hinsman at center. I have Padilla as my top backup at center and left guard. Padilla and Van Sickle are like the exceptions to the rule where if you're entering especially Padilla. Padilla's entering his 4th year. They really like him. And he's probably not going to be a starter, but he might, and he's sticking around. They've got really good depth, man. And I've got Van Sickle as my backup right guard. And I put Sam Greer in, true freshman Sam Greer in as the backup right tackle.
I have it / Greer, Carter Lowe. I
have Carter Lowe as my backup left tackle.
So this, it's 6 1 half dozen in the other at this point. It's kind of who adjusts better, who gets off to a good start, who's healthy. But I am of the mind that just a year of bulk and age and food and stress will help the offensive line. There are other positions I don't feel that way about where there's a little bit more of a talent basis to it. But offensive line, I like the idea of every guy on there maybe having a child. You know what I'm saying? 24, 25 years old. I'm being dead serious. You don't actually have to have the kid. But I like the older, stronger, more years in the weight room, seen more stuff kind of guy. So offensive line, I'm kind of optimistic. I don't know about right tackle, though. That's a good call. That feels goofy to me to bring the big guy in and the shorter guy out. I understand what you're saying there.
You're the same height. Sarevald's 6'5". I'm telling you,
bigger, longer guy. I know that, but
one of those guys that's listed
body type wise.
Like Sareveld he's 6'5", 325, and he's nasty. He could play right guard or right tackle. We've seen him play left tackle. We've seen him play left guard and right guard. Only thing he hasn't played is center. It's crazy. All right, defense. Thank goodness Kenyatta Jackson's back. I've got Kenyatta Jackson starting at defensive end. I have Zion Grady penciled in at his backup. I won't be surprised if Zion Grady starts. I do have Quay Russaw as the other starting defensive end with Bo Atkinson backing him up. But I won't be surprised if Zion Grady starts and Russaw is that kind of that third defensive end. And then at defensive tackle, man, we need some more depth here, it seems like. I got John Walker penciled in as a starter and Edric Houston. Then I've got Will Smith and James Smith as my backup.
James Smith is going to.
All those guys are going to play a lot. I just didn't know if Edric's got to step up. I do have him as a starter, but James Smith is going to play a lot. Will Smith is going to play a lot. But those are my 4 D tackles along with John Walker.
I got Smith over Walker. Almost, I'd be really surprised if Smith doesn't start. Compensation wise, by the way.
Yeah.
Too. So I got same with you, Kenyatta Jackson with Zion backing him up. I got Edric. I think Edric's going to have a good year.
I hope so. It's been a big time disappointment.
To me, he's a defensive end that had to move to defensive tackle. So again, another year will be helpful for him. I'm optimistic there. Then I got Smith and Rousseau, and I got, like you said, Will Smith and Atkinson backing them up. And Who knows? Defensive line is also one of those positions where one of your young guys can have a great offseason and come back ready to rock. So there could be guys behind there that we haven't mentioned that could have great years.
I'm really high on Zion Grady. I think he's going to, because he was playing, he had jumped Bo Atkinson on the depth chart. I mean, he's a big reason CJ Hicks wasn't involved very much and then ended up transferring.
So, Dave, I reached out to Cooper Patagna and asked, had Zion Grady entered the portal, where would he have been rated? And it was the same rating as Quay Rousseau, 93, which is, if you see it, they kind of tier them, which is very high, but it's not in the Chaz Coleman level, which I don't get. I don't agree with that, but whatever.
And his ceiling is so much higher. Grady, in my opinion,
Coleman
only entering his than Rousseau.
Okay, well, Rousseau. I'll say this about Rousseau. I did some research on him. Rousseau is a freak. Like the defensive coordinator was quoted on the defensive line group say it's a room of freaks, and he's the freak. He just hasn't put it all together, and then he got hurt to start the year. And you know what it's like playing at Alabama or Ohio State. You get hurt, they bring in a 5-star, and you get Wally pipped. So now we're not getting the second coming of J.J. Watt here or something, but I'm very optimistic. Plus, keep in mind, some guys like a fresh start. Larry Johnson's apparently good at coaching defensive ends. He's got a decent track record.
And Rousseau can play. He's not going to be Arvell Reese, but he can play a little bit of that Arvell Reese role where he can move him around a little bit. He can come off the
comfortable
edge.
Standing up in like a 3-4 look.
He can, yeah. He can. He's versatile for sure. He's fast twitched, as they say. Linebacker is interesting because I think Peyton Pierce is going to play a ton. But if they only go with 2 starting linebackers, I have the young man that we got in the Bryce West trade from Wisconsin, Christian Alliegro. He was a really productive linebacker for the Badgers. And I have Riley Pettijohn in there, but knowing Peyton Pierce is going to play a lot. So those are the top 3, no doubt. But I have Pierce penciled in as a backup here, but he's really a starter. And then I have TJ Alford as the other backup. But I think Riley Pettijohn and the kid we got from Wisconsin are going to play a ton.
I have them kind of slashed, and then Pierce as the other starter. I'm very confident Pierce is going to be a starter, just from experience.
And Laurinaitis loves him.
Exactly. So that feels like, and he played really well, by the way.
But Alliegro is definitely going to start, right? I mean, he's a senior.
I hope.
And Pettijohn's on the way up. I think he's going to be a stud.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Long term, if I'm picking for the Cowboys, I'll take Pettijohn. That's not weird, but we got to play next year, and he's like 19. Keep in mind, Pettijohn's a younger one. Pettijohn graduated, I think, just turned 18. He was 17. He played football his senior year in high school. I know this. Pettijohn at 17, which is unbelievable and fantastic.
He's going to be a werewolf, I should say, with you. Right? He's going to be an absolute menace, monster, whatever the heck you want to say, because that kid, man, he's probably going to grow. He's probably going to grow. Even now, he's like 6'4", 230. You see him like, damn, is that guy a senior?
Do you remember?
He should actually be a senior in high school right now.
His black stripe picture when he was standing with the 2 first-round draft picks. If it's like Peyton Pierce looks like they invited their little brother, the 3 of them. But because he fit right in with, guys who are going to be supremely high draft picks. Interesting about Allegro. Now, I'm not comparing him, but he committed very early in the portal. I have a feeling he's a Patricia pick. If you look at him, 6'4", 240 pounds. Do you know any other linebackers that were 6'4" and 240 pounds that have thrived under Patricia? So I feel like that was a specific hand-picked guy. Now, you never know when you bring someone in here how they're going to do, but I would say we were on point there. Those guys will rotate, and look, there's a good chance you could play football for another 100 years and not have linebackers as good as Arvell Reese and Stunny Styles. That's a fact. I know I'm a nerd, but my Cowboys guy has Styles 2 and that's Reese 2 and Styles 3 on his board. So that's not going to happen again, especially with the experience, both being from Ohio, by the way. But I do think they'll be in good shape. And Allegra, is it Allegro? Yeah, Nick Allegro. I had Alliegri. I think it's Alliegro.
Alliegro, Christian Alliegro. Alliegro. Alliegro, I think, unless he just goes with Allegro, but there's that I in there.
Go Tricky Nick.
Allegro. I believe it's Allegro. We'll find out. And yeah, people talk about, Sincere Johnson will play, but think about Sincere Johnson as a true freshman, like Riley Pettijohn as a true freshman. Like, is Sincere Johnson going to redshirt? Hell no. Is he going to be a starter? Probably not as a true freshman with some of these guys that we just talked about, but he will play just like Riley Pettijohn did this year.
And keep this in mind, Dave. Hold on a sec. If you want to get some low-hanging fruit as a sports writer, set the over-under on number of times Arvell Reese and Sincere Johnson are compared, considering the fact that they look very similar. They wear the same number. They come from the same place. So he's got some shoes to fill there.
And Nickelback's pretty clear. Earl Little Jr. is going to be your starter. That was clear when he brought in. I'm like, oh, is that the safety? They're like, no, he's going to be a nickel. I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. And I have Miles Lockhart as the backup.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay.
But keep in mind, Earl Little, the best player on Florida State's defense. So we talk about the Desir twins, who we wanted to go after and then pull the old renegotiation and come back for more. Florida State only had one player get postseason accolades, all ACC. It was Earl Little. Earl Little, I told you this the other day, he was at the Big Ten Media Day, or Big Ten, where was he? ACC Media Days, excuse me. Has a pedigree. I believe same high school as Brandon Ennis. So getting the old band back together. I'll say this. Earl Little, I'm not trying to be mean here, is an upgrade at nickel.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I like Lorenzo Styles Jr., but he was okay. But he also was battling like his shoulder. He reminds me of one of my teammates in high school that I played baseball with that was popping his shoulder out of socket like every game. But it's a little easier to do that. Well, not easy. A little easier in baseball to deal with that than in football where you're just knocking into somebody every play. All right, corner.
One sec about him too. So, I don't know, people complain about Styles Jr. and they say, oh, he's always getting targeted. Who would you go after? Go look at the team. Who would you have gone after? Igbinosun? You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people went after Jermaine Matthews too, but I'm glad he's coming back.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like
you're not going to go after Downs. You're not going to go after IGB. You're not going to go out. I mean, yeah, those are the guys. All right. Good thing I just said Jermaine Matthews. They targeted him some, but I'm thrilled he's coming back. Yep. Kenyatta coming back, Jermaine coming back, Saraveld coming back, all the offensive linemen coming back. That's huge. But Jermaine Matthews, Devin Sanchez, those are your starting outside corners. I have Dominic Kelly, the kid we got from Georgia, and I have Cam Calhoun as listed as. I think this is Cam Calhoun's like 19th school, including he's been at Michigan, Alabama, Utah, now Ohio State. Okay, it's his fourth school, but I have Cam Calhoun as my other backup.
Cam Calhoun and Jermaine Matthews, high school defensive backs together, so that might have something to do with it. I think the player you left out is Lawrence Timmons, who is going to be a freshman, and I would not be surprised to see him crack the 2 deep. This dude is a stud. I'm telling you.
Who's in danger? Would you say Cam Calhoun or
I would put him?
Kelly?
Say it one more time. Oh, no, I put him above Kelly for sure.
Oh, okay.
And then Calhoun will give him the first shot at it based on age. Timmons, to me, talent-wise, I would put him in. If I were ranking the players on the team in defensive backs, long-term talent-wise, he'd be number 2 behind Devin.
There you go.
He might be a similar stud.
It might be a similar. I do have another. I do have a true freshman in my 2 deep in the secondary, but I didn't want to put 2 of them in there. But you're right. I mean, he might be like the Devin Sanchez of next year. You know what I mean? Like because Devin played a ton this year as a true freshman. It's hard to play corner as a true freshman, but yeah, I'm with you on that.
I would be surprised. Put it this way, given that, and also given how the structure is now, and you can take that any way you want, I'd be surprised if Timmons doesn't play next year. Considerable minutes.
Yeah, and he's the 3rd highest ranked member of the class. You have Chris Henry Jr., obviously. Then it's Sincere Johnson, and right below him, Jay Timmons. Boom. And then Sam Greer, Kerry Wilder, and then a guy that I have penciled in as a backup safety, Blaine Bradford. Because I was having a tough time getting the backup safeties in there. I have obviously the starting safeties, Jalen McClain, and I really like the kid from Duke, Terry Moore. He was really good.
This is my guy.
And then missed all of this year, whatever he was, the 2025 season with an injury. Now he's going to be 2 years removed from that injury. I think he's going to be really good. Is he going to be Caleb Downs? Of course he's not going to be Caleb Downs, but I like Terry Moore, Jalen McClain. Then I have Blaine Bradford and Leroy Roker as my backups.
This is obviously my fault. Lawrence Timmons played defensive end and linebacker for the Steelers. Jay Timmons is his son. I'm pretty sure we got Jay Timmons.
Yeah,
I don't think Lawrence has any eligibility left, though. If he does, a good father-son combo package deal. We got the buddies on the front from Birmingham up there, so that's my fault. I apologize.
I'm guessing Mrs. Timmons must be not a big lady because Jay is 5'11", 185, and his dad was a defensive end in the NFL.
Hey,
he must have a petite mom, is what I'm guessing. Yeah, mom's petite.
Terry Moore, the defensive back from Duke. This to me, and I know it sounds like I'm spreading the love here. This is my favorite transfer. Now, provided he checks out physically and his knee is okay. And I know there was a time when that wasn't the case. You can come back from your ACL and be faster now. Who knows? Go look at he is the definition of a deep safety. And we hadn't, as good as Caleb was, that wasn't necessarily his bag. McClain can play that. This guy is extremely versatile, regardless of what you think of PFF, Pro Football Focus. If you look at his rating, when last time he played, it was in the 90s. That is almost unheard of. This guy, if he's healthy, to me, is just an enormous pickup. Enormous. And it was quick and no one knew about it. I love pickups like that too. Like, who's Terry Moore? They were on it, man. They had that guy under the bullseye. You know what I'm saying? And they went right after it. I love the fact that he's a little bit older. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this too. I like guys who went to schools that were hard academically if they're going to transfer, because it shows they can at least get by. It's my David Bailey theory. Stanford to Texas Tech, I'm betting on the guy that can make it through Stanford for 4 years. I know they help athletes, but it's not easy. So if you're smart enough to get through Stanford for 4 years, or Duke, we're going to line you up.
It had Matt Guerrieri written all over it because he has previous ties to Duke. He's the safety. That has Matt Guerrieri written all over it, getting Terry Moore. I absolutely love it.
I wonder how long Terry Moore has been committed to Ohio State. There's a good chance he was watching the game with some plays in his hand this year if Guerrieri has his email.
And then, I was going to say Terry Moore was my favorite pickup in the portal, but obviously my favorite pickup in the portal is Connor Hawkins. No, I'm with you though. Terry Moore is my favorite, but I'm pretty happy about getting the kicker from Baylor, Connor Hawkins. And then sounds like McGuire's going to be the punter again. I guess they didn't feel like they needed to upgrade over a kid that can't kick it more than 38 yards, but whatever. All right. Let's get
It's amazing how people responded to the Connor Hawkins deal.
Oh, I talked about
it. Like we signed Joe Montana in his prime.
I talked about it on the Fan a couple different times this week, and I was like, people were like, because I was actually doing a hit on Friday, and my buddy Anthony Rothman was asking me, he's like, I know it's not sexy or anything, but getting Connor Hawkins in the portal, I'm like, Anthony, it's the sexiest thing that Buckeye Nation has ever seen. Like, we did a story on Connor Hawkins, and like the views were off the chart. Like, so yeah, Connor Hawkins was a big time get. All right, are we gonna have an offensive coordinator this week? I mean, when I first heard the JT Barrett stuff, I was like, I don't know, and then I heard it from another source. Hey, not that it's going to happen, just keep an eye on it. First one was like 2 weeks ago. We had something in the boarding house, as you know. And I thought about it, like, well, he's now worked under Ben Johnson for 2 years, quarterbacks coach. I've been saying I want a veteran offensive coordinator, and I still do. If Brian Daboll wants to come here, I would prefer Brian Daboll. But it sounds like he's going to be hired as the Eagles offensive coordinator. JT Barrett working under Ben Johnson for 2 years, and if you think JT Barrett's a strong candidate here, the timing makes a lot of sense. The Bears season just ended. Why else would he be waiting? If he was going to promote from within, which he better not promote from within, Dan Rubin. He better not promote from within. It makes a lot of sense if he was waiting for JT Barrett. The Bears season just ended yesterday. Again, I would like Brian Daboll, but it doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Todd Monken. If they do bring in JT Barrett, we're going to have more information in the boarding house today. I think he has to bring in, doesn't have to, a veteran analyst, somebody like a Kevin Wilson, not necessarily Kevin Wilson, or that'd be great. Kevin Wilson right now is an offensive analyst at Oklahoma. Somebody like that can just be the adult in the room, for lack of a better term. But there's some JT Barrett smoke out there. I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, Dave, give a little more info though on what JT's been doing, because I think some people hear this and are like, he's playing Sega and they're going to bring him back because he was such a good quarterback.
He was the quarterbacks. He's been a quarterbacks coach in the NFL the last 2 years. He was the quarterbacks coach of the Detroit Lions previous year under Ben Johnson. Had a really good year, the best year the Lions have had since Barry Sanders and Chris Spielman took them to the NFC Championship game way back in the day. They didn't do well in the playoffs, the Lions, but they'd had a fantastic regular season. Then he goes to the Chicago Bears this year as quarterbacks coach. Bears have a tremendous year, their best season in forever. So now, is it apples and apples with Ryan Day? Because Ryan Day came to Ohio State after what? 2 years in the NFL as a quarterbacks coach, one with the Eagles, one with the Niners, and boom, came to Ohio State. Difference with that is Ryan Day had experience calling plays at Temple and then at Boston College. He was the offensive coordinator at Temple, and he was the offensive coordinator at Boston College before all that. So he had experience as an OC. JT doesn't have that. That's why I think you would need to bring in an analyst if you're bringing in JT, or I'd be contradicting myself. Because I've been screaming from the mountaintops, Dan, need to get a veteran offensive coordinator with experience, because when they had Kevin Wilson those 4 years, great offenses, promoted Hartline and name only in 03 or 23. That was the worst offense of the day era. It was 48th in the country. Bringing Chip Kelly the next year, they're great in short yardage, red zone. They win the national championship. Promote Hartline this last year, one of the worst teams in the country, short yardage, red zone. Not a bad offense by any means this year. They're like 28th in the country, but still, when Ryan Day has a proven veteran offensive coordinator at his side, he is clearly better. We have 7 years of proof of this now. So I don't know. I have a little bit of mixed emotions about it, but if they bring in JT Barrett and bring in a veteran analyst along with them, I'd be down with that.
Something I heard Day say just almost as a throwaway and one of his many interviews this past year was about the defense. And he almost kind of said, well, that's Matt. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's Patricia. He's got that. Considering the year before, we all marked the Oregon loss as Day getting involved and saying something to the defense as being a watershed moment. Those moments shed no water this past year. It was Matt's show, which means I think Day was able to focus more on the offense, whether you think that's good or bad. Hartline's relatively inexperienced as an offensive coordinator. I think it's Day's show. So that wouldn't surprise me if they brought in JT Barrett to kind of be his disciple, similar in the way that Chip Kelly brought along Day as his disciple and kind of brought him in there to kind of carry him along. I love the idea that Ben Johnson was in Detroit, got hired as a head coach in Chicago, and brought JT with him. So it kind of depends on what you think of Ben Johnson right now. Or is he the flavor of the month? Does he go for it on fourth down way too much? Does he trust Kyle Monangai running up the middle way too much? Depends what you think of that. I am a JT Barrett guy. He paid a lot of bills for us, considering the interest he generated on the message boards. Good Lord, very mercurial, polarizing figure in Ohio State history. But one thing about him, he was remarkably cerebral and is as quality a human being. He's like the marry your daughter type.
And tough as nails.
And
tough as nails.
He's from Texas, which doesn't hurt recruiting. All this other
Texas guys, man.
Sit back and ask yourself this question. Do you think JT Barrett's going to be successful as a coach in his life? Yes.
I mean, he already is. That's
what I'm saying, though. But JT Barrett, have you ever met someone? And I told you, it was like meeting that Carnell Tate when he was 17. And I walked away like, Carnell Tate is more mature than I am. I need to work on some stuff. JT's the same way. I actually am a huge fan. I don't like the hiring within, like you said. I do love bringing back guys who were great in the program that went elsewhere, the Laurinaitis, the Hartline, who can kind of, bleed the scarlet blood, as it were. I love that.
Laurinaitis is another
corny.
one.
Maybe that's corny, but I love it.
Like Laurinaitis, I'm convinced right now, and hopefully he just stays at Ohio State as linebackers coach for a while. Then maybe eventually if Patricia leaves in like 10 years now, maybe Laurinaitis can be DC. But I'm convinced, Dan, James Laurinaitis will be a really good head coach eventually, just like what you're saying about JT Barrett. And yeah, I think a lot of Buckeye fans maybe weren't, not a lot, some Buckeye fans, I don't think we're even aware of the fact that he was a quarterbacks coach in the NFL the last 2 years.
Right.
And again, under Ben Johnson, you're right. It could be that Sean McVay effect or even Zach Taylor, who wasn't even really the offensive coordinator. He gets a head coaching job at the Bengals, even though he wasn't even really the OC under McVay. It's like anybody under Sean McVay was getting a job. We're going to see that with Ben Johnson.
Dave, 3 Sean McVay assistants this week had interviews for head coaching jobs. 3.
There you go. There you go. All right, tonight, Indiana, favored by 8.5. I hope Indiana wins. I'm rooting for Indiana. If I had to bet on it, I think Miami will cover that spread, but Indiana will win.
What's the you have 8.5?
8.5.
So I've thought about this, and because it's not our team, I can be a little less emotional. I just don't believe in Carson Beck, dude. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out. Maybe it never will, and he'll be holding the trophy. I am waiting for the Carson Beck meltdown, and that's it. I really see what's troubling is because those are the 2 teams that beat Ohio State. I'm thinking, oh, that makes sense. Now that they'll get into it, they'll be closer matched. When I don't know if that really has anything to do with it. That's just my Buckeyes coming through. Dude, Cignetti's just on a roll. And I watched, I don't know if I told you this. You know I do this. Sound down Army.
Oh, yeah.
I watch games with the sound down because you don't get influenced by the announcer. And also, I think you can tell who hits harder. For example, I knew we were going to win the Michigan game early in the first quarter when every single time one of the Buckeyes got up, the Michigan guy tried to start a fight with them. So they weren't trying to play football. They were trying to get you to do something stupid because they knew they couldn't beat you. Indiana, if you watch the games, smash, get up, go back to the huddle. Smash, get back. It is just no one's in the wrong spot. There was a play when they had like the referee cam on last week when the linebacker got 1 step out of position. The safety got it, made the tackle. After the play, came up to the linebacker and showed him he was in the wrong hole. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just seem to be clicking, man. So I just think it's going to be a beatdown. I just don't believe in Miami. I think they're going to get them blocked. If you can block them, can you block Mesidor and Bain? If you can have a field day. Mendoza's better than I thought. Bigger and stronger than I thought. What I've noticed is most people who have gotten on the field with him mention he's a legitimately big dude. Smashed on the first play of the game by us. Thought we're going to win because of it. Shook it off.
I thought he was knocked out cold for a second.
Me too.
He gave him the smelling salts. No, I'm not kidding.
I mean, obviously nothing would surprise me because as we've seen in the playoffs, you come out and return the kickoff or you intercept it and run it back for a touchdown or something like that. Those plays can win the game for you. I mean, the interception for Miami, that's why we lost the game. If you go back and look, if you take everything else out,
yep,
it was that one play. So I think Cignetti, it's the year of Cignetti. Why his hair color is something that doesn't exist, I don't.
Well, I know.
It's a color of brown that doesn't exist.
I heard somebody use a phrase that I haven't heard since a commercial when I was like maybe 8 years old. They're like, "Oh, he's using Grecian formula." I'm like, "Oh my god, I haven't heard that." And said for years. That's before like Just for Men was even invented.
Yeah, they were out of Brill cream, so he went to that.
There you go. Yeah, he's definitely on some Just for Men or whatever. There's no
more power to him, man. More power to him. Get me some.
I've thought about it. I mean, look, I've thought about it. Maybe when I'm 64, I'll do the same damn thing.
I'm married, and it really doesn't matter.
Playing
out the string here, Dave. Playing out the string.
Cignetti making $12 million using that Grecian formula. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my god, I hadn't heard that term in for years.
Great call. Right. Hold on a sec. He's not only a Saban disciple of coaching, a Saban disciple of hair. Same walnutty color that no one over the age of 50 has ever had.
Yeah. Some guys would rather have, I am clearly dyeing my hair, and I don't care because it's not gray. I get it. I'll probably do that someday. I used to think guys that color their hair were weird. And I'll probably be that weird guy who does it one day, but I'm not there yet. All right. Great stuff from Dan Rubin. Thanks to all of you guys for tuning in on a holiday. Hope you guys are just chilling out. I'm sure some of you guys are working, but hopefully a lot of you have the day off of work. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate it very much. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and go Bucks.